Why is Trump making such a loud outcry against DEI despite it being a relatively powerless program? What about it poses a threat to him and his base?
This, the base of the present government led by Mr. Trump is the working class, the unemployed, and the unemployable white class, as well as the lower middle class, probably even the middle class whites, who feel threatened by any real competition coming from any other racial or ethnic groups. And since the largest racial or ethnic group in the country, people could say it's Hispanics, but no, most of the Hispanics in the country are not citizens, so you can't say they're competition because they could do what they're doing right now, put them on a plane and fly them out. They can't do that to the Black American population. So we are the primary competition for white male Americans. And so the white male Americans, you've created a problem for the white working class and the white underclass, but you want to make them think that blacks have created that problem. So you attack DEI as though that was an instrument that gave blacks an advantage over whites. And that's really what it's doing. They know that the people who have profited most by DEI is white people. But they don't know that because the people they're trusting is telling them just the opposite. If you want to find out who's getting the preference in the jobs, it's still white people and primarily white women right now, right? You want to find out who's getting the food stamps, it's white women. You want to find out who's the majority on welfare, it's still white people. But they don't want to accept that about themselves. You really have to show them that. They're told that black people are getting all these advantages because of DEA. They're being given jobs they're not qualified for, what they don't deserve, and that's why you're unemployed. Because they don't want them to know you're unemployed because we've sent all of the factories overseas to get cheap labor,
Fact.
and that's why you're unemployed. But rather they're going to say, no, you're unemployed because this DEA is giving black and brown people an advantage that puts them above you. Now, when they realize that's not true, his 4 years will be over. And he won't be able to run for president again anyway. So he would have used and gotten white people to vote against their own self-interest one more time by making them thinking that they're voting against black interests. And they end up voting against their own self-interest. And that's the sad part. Will the white population learn this time around? I don't think so because they haven't learned in the past. They did the same thing after the Civil War by saying the reason you're impoverished is not because the planters of the South were a bunch of greedy robber barons, but because these black people now, who you had working in the fields for free for 400 years, is now working for a salary. And they're taking away the salary you could have had. You know, you weren't working in that field for 400 years. You didn't have no salary picking cotton, so how you gonna blame the black man who you gotta pay now to pick the cotton for taking your job when you never had that job to begin with? Matter of fact, most of you were unemployed then and didn't understand why you were unemployed, because I was working for free. So now I'm taking the factories to Mexico. Then I'm gonna blame the Mexican people, right, for importing something from a factory owned by a bunch of American shareholders. And you still don't get it. Many of the factories in China, the stockholders are Americans. The shareholders are
But
Americans.
that's the whole joke about the tariff thing.
Right.
That's coming
I'm,
up with
I'm
times.
talking about the tariffs because they come right back to the question of the DEI. Because you're trying to find a scapegoat.
Find anything.
And so you're now scapegoating black folks and saying that's the reason that so many white people are unemployed. Or that's the reason why you can't move up in your job. Not that you don't have the best education you could have gotten.
Just unskilled.
Not that you haven't put forth the same effort that the black man has put forth to be on the job. Because something called DEI. But let them remove it because it didn't serve black people that much anyway to start with. Affirmative action never really served black people. And I think it'll be good for black people to see nothing much is going to change in their environment if they take away all of this stuff. Well, this who let black people see that really didn't impact people like us. The person that's the trouble element here is the ignorance of the general white population who buy into thinking that somehow, because they're not at the top as they fantasize they should be, without having slave labor, that somebody has taken something from them that they've never had. So take the DEI out and let's see, and you'll still see you still don't have it because you never prepared yourself for it. You know, so it's really a fear-mongering thing that they're trying to put the blame on people of color, black people and brown people. They're trying to put the blame on them for the ills of the white working class.